Hello, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's Premier League panel show. Our very first one. Is very rare that on American Scouser we're outnumbered by fans of other teams. I know Alex did it to me once with another fellow Fulham member, but we are live. We're going to be doing this every week. Normally a group of four. We missed the Villa guy in the last seconds representing Villa, or maybe he didn't want to talk about the Newcastle game. I don't know which one it is, but we'll figure that out. So we're going to talk about Premier League, get everybody's perspective, talk in general. I know we give a lot of Liverpool perspective over here, but this is going to be kind of like a nice change of getting like different angles and stuff like that. I'm sure there'll be some banter and people teasing. We almost had a Spurs guy on tonight, so I'm sure Alan was looking forward to that. So we'll talk a lot, but let's go around first. I'm Timuchin. I'll be hosting the show along with Mecca. Obviously, I'm with American Scouser, and Liverpool is my team. With us today is Alex. Alex is the Fulham man. Alex, I'll let you. We'll kind of go around. I want you guys to kind of introduce yourselves, how long you've been a fan, all that good jazz, so that's the audience kind of can meet everybody at the same time.
Yeah, thanks. I'm Alex. I help run Chicago Cottagers here in Chicago. This will be, I think, only my fifth season supporting Fulham, so it has been it's been quite a ride, roller coaster, literally. And yeah, excited to be here. Thanks for hosting this, and yeah, looking forward to a good season.
And also, I just noticed, by the way, and this is all on me because initially I did contact all the Chicago groups because I am in Chicago too. So this is an all Chicago show here tonight.
Oh, nice.
So we have Alan here as well representing the Gunners. What's going on, Alan?
What's up? Yeah, my name's Alan. I am a board member for Chicago Gunners. I've been a fan of Arsenal for the last 6 years. And yeah, now we're here. Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate this opportunity to talk some Premier League.
So I know we had Alex on, and we got the story on Fulham. If you follow us in our morning show, in the morning coffee show, we talked a lot about Fulham specifically on that show. But what made you become an Arsenal fan there, Alan?
Honestly, I really didn't follow the Premier League much until like 6 years ago. Honestly, and then I had a friend of mine over in the suburbs who is a diehard Arsenal fan. He's got Arsenal tattoos across his arms, and he got me into watching the Premier League with him, and we were just talking and chilling with Arsenal, talking about Arsenal stuff, and that's how I ended up getting into Arsenal. And then lo and behold, I joined up being an Arsenal fan in 2017, the first year they missed the Champions League. So there's that.
Good luck, it must be so tough. Oh gosh, missing the Champions League must be. I can't imagine supporting a club. It's terrible.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that on the show. I feel that for Alex. He's going to be like, "Oh, poor you bastards." And there's going to be a lot of this too. Boys is like, "What the fuck are they wearing?"
Yeah,
This is the thing we sold out or something like that when they see non-Liverpool jerseys on the show. But okay, so I think the best way to go about it is, I know even with Alex when we did it, it was like almost a month ago, and the first time I actually saw Marco Silva rumors, I was like, oh my god, they must be crapping their pants, because I remember we were talking about it back then. So we're almost at the end of the transfer market over here. So better idea of, well, unless you're Liverpool, better idea of who's going to be on your squad and everything like that. So I'll start with you, Alex, in terms of what are your expectations going into this season, the way the squad is, the way the club is right now at Fulham?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty typical transfer window for Fulham, where everything is waited to last minute and there's a lot of limbo going on. I think Fulham fans on Twitter are and Fulham fans will admit this, are a little reactive. They're a little quick to angst. When you look at the window as a whole, they'll say, sign this guy, sign this guy, sign this guy. But at the end of the day, they really Fulham haven't lost anyone that they really wanted to keep. João Palhinha is still under contract. Mitro, who on earth knows what's going to happen there. But a lot of guys are still here, and most importantly, Marco's still here. So at the end of the day, the team is pretty intact. They brought in Bassi, Calvin Bassi from Ajax, and then Callum Hudson-Odoi has been rumored for 2 weeks to come in. We'll see if that happens. Damari Gray from Everton is rumored to come in for another 2 weeks. We'll see if that happens. But I don't know, at the end of the day, it's always easy to say we need to bring more players in, need to strengthen, and that's true. But this has been a pretty typical Fulham window. There'll be a ton of movement in the last 2 days. There'll be 5 or 6 signings, and 2 of them will be great, and the other 3 will be like, who the heck knows? But the big thing this year was keeping the squad together, and so far they've done that.
Yeah, I think Mitrovic is the only one that I remember when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a big piece.
Yeah.
That happens kind of thing. But yeah, we'll talk about that because I know when we did the show in the morning, way back, the Saudi conversation was not as dominant, and they were.
It was more about Marco Silva.
Yes, we talked about Marcus Silva, and we were afraid of that. Well, you guys were afraid of that. Yeah. And I saw the rumor, and I was like, oh, man, they must be worried. And then, hey, kudos to him for, sticking to his guns. Yeah. But somebody who spent a lot of money are your boys there, Alan. They did definitely enforce. We're going to go through the numbers and the transfer and stuff later on. So you guys did fork out some cash. Are you happy with how the cash was spent?
I am. I personally think that we started the transfer window with signing Kai Havertz from Chelsea. I think Kai Havertz has the potential to be a really good player in Arteta's system. It looks like he's going to be playing either in a forward midfielder position, like an 8, like an attacking 8, and then switching off with Odegaard. That's kind of like what I got from recent games and the preseason. We also. And unfortunately, we got Jurrien Timber from Ajax, but he's, I saw him preseason live. I saw him, the first half of the game against Nottingham. He was doing great, and then he got injured, and so now we're looking for a replacement for him. He's going to be out for the next 7 months, and then for us, the big signing was Declan Rice, and I think we needed someone young in the midfield position, whether he plays as a defensive midfielder or as a box-to-box midfielder. We'll see how he plays in Arteta's system, but it seems like everything's going well for him. So we'll go from there.
In terms of expectation, though, obviously, I would think the only expectation or request the Arsenal fans have right now is the title after what happened last year. Do you think what you guys have done is enough to put you back right where it was and kind of get over whoever they're going to battle aside from City, including City?
Yeah, I think this year is going to be tougher. I think you got your Liverpools who are definitely still, even though you guys have had issues this past week with signings, they still straighten up. Brighton has also straightened up. They're going to be fighting for a European for Europa or Champions League. Chelsea is back to big spending and seeing how they do, but then you got
you're good. We're still good with sound.
We can hear you.
Yeah. We got City, who's also strengthened as well, and United. I mean United not so much, but I think Arsenal, in order to go that next level, I think they still need a striker. I don't think Gabriel Jesus is at that level that can bring us to the next, to the title. And we need someone that can score goals in that position. So we'll see what happens. I would like Ivan Toney, but he's unfortunately going to be gone for the next 7 months, I guess. And then, and then we also have Osimhen, but Osimhen's going to cost 150 million. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Chelsea will sign him next week. You never know. For Fulham, obviously, I mean, last year we talked about the roller coaster right before, and it's kind of on the up. Are you afraid the roller coaster eventually comes down, or do you think there is enough to maybe even go higher?
I mentioned this on another podcast today, and I heard it originally on the Fulhamish podcast. It's an excellent podcast of Fulham guys, and something they said was pretty poignant, where they said, look, if you're not a Big Six club, relegation comes for us all. So there is no, at the end of the day, I'd love for Fulham to stay in the Prem for the next 50, 100, 1,000 years. But at the end of the day, you just have to kind of accept that Fulham, we're the size of the club that we are. And at some point, relegation will likely come knocking. Hopefully it's 30 years down the road, but you never know. So I think they've done more than enough, or they've avoided more than enough happening this summer to be in that relegation scrap. I think it's a pretty lazy pick for some folks to say Fulham are going to be in 17th, 18th. I wouldn't be surprised with a little bit of a regression. They finished 10th. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised anything from 12th to 16th, but I really don't think Fulham should be anywhere near the drop at the end of the day.
So you're like, in terms of expectation, though, you expect more of like going down a little bit as opposed to going up a little bit.
Depending on how the next couple weeks of the window go here,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the big thing, right? If Mitrovic goes to Al Hilal and they reinvest that $50 million into somebody better quickly, who knows? But I think it'd be cautiously optimistic. Would love to finish close to 7th. I mean, I would love that. It'd be excellent. But I wouldn't be shocked if Fulham do finish between 11, 12, 13. Hopefully not. Hopefully they finish a little better. But,
Let's hope for that. Well, I'm definitely at a great start, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Especially for like the first week. It's always tough being the away team the first week. Obviously,
Yeah.
any stadium you go to, they're always going to be like ready to go, and you know, like people on like fire. But you guys were able to get the 3 points away at Everton, who looks like they will have their issues. But that's only good news to us usually as Liverpool fans. So anything from the first week, I figured we wouldn't go at least this first week game by game, because
Sure.
kind of like it's hard to kind of make judgments on the teams that A, we only have like a small sampling. B, I kind of like the situation you guys are in. Not everybody has all the pieces in yet, so it's really unfair to say, oh, like Sheffield is going to struggle or something like that, like just out of the first week. But anything that popped out to you this first week in terms of whether it's score, results, play, new people, whatever it might be?
I think a couple things. The one score there, City and Burnley. City looked right back to it. So they kicked off and they looked right back to it. I mean, I know Burnley they pissed the league last year. They're coming right up. And I don't know that people thought they would maybe give City the best match. But City really took control and kept it for long stretches. So that, I think, Luton struggling at Brighton, that's not, I think we kind of maybe expected that. Everton, if you didn't watch the match, actually the whole first half of that match, Everton pretty much bossed it, and Fulham, all Fulham fans are pretty thankful for the 3 points. It's about as close to a smash and grab as you can get. At the end of the day, 3 points are 3 points, but for a long stretches, Everton outplayed Fulham there.
I did look at the highlights, but I think that's going to be Everton is going to be a team. I mean, they were, and they have not really addressed it. Is going to be a team that struggles to score. Yeah. That was their problem last year too. And
that was the thing in the match. They didn't have pretty solid chances, and part of that's Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno is proving again and again he is unbelievable. One of the reasons that Fulham were as comfortable in survival last year as they were, and will likely be another reason that Fulham, if they stay up, assuming they do, will stay up, is Bernd Leno's play. But at Bournemouth is another team. I don't think they look that bad. Somehow they stayed up, and they really are not that bad a team. I don't think I've seen anybody really put them way down at the bottom in terms of predictions. I don't think they'll be challenging for Europe any time this year, but I don't think they'll go down.
Really, I put them in contention to go down. Honestly, a lot of people put Wolves as like one team that could possibly go down, and it's not going to be up there, and they're not going to be doing well and stuff. I mean, that's one of the few games I watched in full, I would say. Do you put that as a game that's like Wolves are better than everybody thought, or is United a lot worse than everybody expected?
I think it's a mixture of Wolves played tough and they were ready to go clearly. And it's that first match of the year. You have no idea what you're going to get from anybody unless you're City and you just come out and mop up again. But no, I think Wolves played great. I don't think that one match, there's 37 more. And so I don't know that you can draw a ton from it, because at the end of the day, they've got to go out there and play 37 more times. They have sold quite a few players. And hopefully for them, they can hang on to guys like Cunha, who's unbelievable. But I don't think they're out of the woods. One good match, they still didn't get anything from it, which we can talk about how
we'll definitely talk
that
about
whole situation.
We're definitely going to get to that as like one of the many topics here. But for Arsenal, you guys got the win. I mean, obviously the whole Timber thing is probably like a downer on that, if anything else. But is that 3 points won? That's all that matters, or does that concern Arsenal fans in the fashion case?
That started playing. I think it is 3 points won. I think the first half we dominated that game, and then I mean we had an 80% to 20% possession stat, and when we kept attacking, we kept going, getting into their box, finding chances. Unfortunately, I think when we lost Timber, we kind of lost a lot of that. And so it is a little bit concerning that losing one vital player right there has put us in a position where we conceded, a goal and put us under pressure and made things a little bit nervy at the end. But I think this team has the mentality to spring up and close out games. I think they've learned a lot more from the last season, so we'll see what happens.
You think that was a lesson learned from last season? I mean, are you confident that was a lesson learned from that season? Obviously, they brought a player like Rice and stuff, but it's not like as veteran of a player as he is and as much of a leader as he was in West Ham. It's not like he's been chasing titles every year. So it's the first for him. So are you more confident that we learned from last year, kind of thing? Because really, it was apparent to someone outside. I mean, I don't know what you think, Alex, for example, looking from outside in, that it was a team that was not ready for a title challenge and just collapsed under the pressure.
I think this team picked itself up after missing out on Champions League last year. They gave themselves a mentality of focusing on a strong start, being there, and getting to the end and making it. And they reached their first goal of getting Champions League football last year. There is the added goal of winning the league. Now, I think that there needs to be some more reinforcements in a form of a striker, maybe a new right back or center back now to replace Timber. But I think Saka and Martinelli look like better players. I think Odegaard looks like a better player. Just watching all three of them in the offseason and this game, I think they all played really good games this weekend.
So I was going to ask predictions, but so your prediction is that Arsenal will win the title this year.
My prediction is more points than last season. That's how.
Who's going to win the title this year?
He's trying to nail him in here.
I mean, honestly, I'll say Arsenal.
Okay.
I'm down.
Who's
to
your top
Arsenal.
four? Give me a top four.
Arsenal, City, Liverpool, and Newcastle.
Okay. How about you, Alex?
I think City, Arsenal, and I'm going to say Liverpool and Brighton. I think Brighton will. Okay. They're either going to get over the hump or they're not at some point, and if they're going to do it, it's going to be a year like this. I think losing Caicedo is not ideal for that type of push, but I think if they haven't been planning for that to happen for the last year or 18 months, then what have they been doing? And a club like Brighton that has built, I think they're one of the only clubs, the only club with a profit in transfers over the last 2-3 years. I forget, I read the stat.
Like a ridiculous profit too. Is that
over 100 million? And obviously a lot of that is Caicedo. But if they haven't been planning for this with a backup plan, then what have they been doing? And I think if they've shown anything, it shows that they can kind of reinvest that pretty quickly and move on. So I don't know. I'm also rooting for that. At the end of the day.
Obviously, I have Liverpool as like a homer pick to win the title. Really depends on how they solve this midfield. It would be against City. I mean, I do have City as second, Arsenal as third, and I really think Pochettino and that this week showed too already. And with these pieces, he is the right guy to kind of make that work and get better. That's why I have actually Chelsea as fourth, kind of like climbing over the other ones. Because if it was anybody else, I'd be like, that mess is going to continue. But I think if anybody's going to kind of put it together, it will be him.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say that. I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm constitutionally unable to make that prediction.
Okay, let's just pretend nobody at the pub is watching this. So you guys are free to say, but yeah, I hear you. Like I say, as a homer, I do have to. I feel like if I don't pick it automatically, I'm disqualifying them. So I got to go with Liverpool there. So, I mean, like I say, I didn't want to, especially this week, go game by game and go in detail. But I do want to talk about like the stuff in general and get your guys' take. Brian says last season will help Arsenal. I believe so too. What was really odd to me last season is, and I think we talked about it throughout the season here, was I thought the thing that would bring Arsenal down was the Europa. I was like, those Thursday games are going to kill them as they're going to be play better teams and stuff. Oddly, it went south the moment they got eliminated from Europa, and somehow I think that's the team that has too long to think about one game where they need 3 points, and when you're not used to being in that title chase, that stuff gets to you, and it's kind of affects performances. So that was kind of like odd to see, but that's maybe if Liverpool keeps going in Europe on Thursdays, we'll win the title that way. So that's the game plan over here that I got for Liverpool. So let's talk about the league. Let's talk about a couple of the new things. So let's start with the minutes added. Alex, like it, don't like it, where are you at with it?
I mean, I like that it's an attempt to, I don't know if fix is the right word, but address an issue of the fact that there are 54 minutes of actual time that the ball is in play in a football match. So I appreciate that. I don't know. I think I lean more towards the end of, instead of just kind of keep adding time on, which will never be fully accurate, and then you get these wacky with 11 minutes added on at the end of the first half. I think there's room there for officials to be given leeway to be a lot more stringent with the actual rules, that if you are time wasting and it's clear you're time wasting, then there should be some type of punishment's a pretty strong word, but some type of punishment for that. You see it all the time, the guys who are hurt on the touchline and then they roll back on the field, right? And like, that doesn't happen all the time, but there are a lot of moments throughout a match where it's pretty obviously what's going on. And if they could find a way to, instead of just continue to add time on, to kind of punish that a little bit, but that would be my solution.
So let me ask you this as a Fulham fan, because I felt like when this came about, I just remembered like Sean Douche whining about, 5 subs and stuff like that, how it would hurt smaller clubs, let's say, for lack of a better term. Is that a concern, the fact that, deeper squads who can substitute are going to be able to play 105, 110 minutes a lot easier than a team like Fulham, for example?
Yeah, I guess over the course of a season, we'll see if that really does matter. I mean, at the end of the day, if you give a team like Arsenal or a team like Liverpool an extra 6 minutes of injury time, the odds do go up that they're going to score. But I don't know. I guess we'll see after a year of data. I don't know that it's that big a concern. I think, I don't know. I'm not sure that it's like the biggest. I'm not overly concerned about that aspect of it, but I guess we'll find out. If Fulham keep getting burned, I guess I can come back on here and be like,
you might have to revisit this.
Yeah, somebody clip this.
And Arsenal score a 11th minute winner against Fulham. Yeah,
Arsenal scored 130th minute winner of the match.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think I'm more than okay, and I'm kind of more used to it. Premier League is always late to the party on these things. So they did, eventually do this. I mean, as somebody who watches the Turkish league regularly too, it's been kind of like that, and it can get obnoxious. The only part I don't like about it is, compared to what we used to have, is now that they're adding time, I sometimes feel like, Alan, that the refs kind of let things happen. Like, so if they were going to rush a player, I mean, I know they're they're showing the yellow cards and stuff, so we'll talk about that as well. I just don't know if that's more like, this is going to be the point of emphasis this year. So the first 3 weeks, let's just pass out yellows all over the place, and then we'll say the hell with it. So we'll see if that goes on. But normally what I've seen in other leagues, and we kind of saw it in the World Cup too, if a goalie's taking too long for something, and, players are like, hey, what the hell is going on? The stadium is going on. The ref has this, I'm going to add it anyway kind of thing and point to the watch. Mm-hmm. But, as person who's watching it, I still have to watch somebody take 30 seconds to take a goal kick. Yeah, so where are you at with the additional minutes?
I think the additional minutes is going to kind of alleviate all this time wasting that we saw last year. I think last year was very prevalent, time wasting. I think that's why they started going for this to add more minutes to the game. I do agree with your point that I think refs are just adding on time whenever there is enough, like a keeper trying to waste time by holding onto the ball and taking 30-40 seconds to make a free kick. I think I noticed it this weekend, actually, during the Arsenal game, where I think someone at the Globe started counting down to 6, and it was just like, what the hell?
There is a rule about that. Like, there is.
The rule is 6 seconds, isn't it?
It's like, and why can't you enforce that more? Right. Why do you need to keep adding time on? Just enforce the rule.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing as, by the way, if Northside Gunner is a regular follower, we're going to get along just great. I can't stand Richarlison, so we're going to get along just great despite rooting for different teams because that guy, wow, what a character. But, I mean, going back to what you're saying, Alex, which is the second thing I was going to get to in terms of like the new rules. Another point of emphasis is asking for a yellow is a yellow. Yeah. That was put in there. I know I'm an old fart, so I can't remember how many years ago, but it's been a while. That was in there. And again, when it was first added, there were yellows flying all over the place. So this weekend we saw it, but if you motion it, you get the yellow card. Do you think that sticks around, Alex? Or we go back to, because like you're saying, like the 6-second one, it's a rule, but it's just not enforced.
It's interesting. Didn't someone get sent off? Did I make that up? Did someone get sent off this weekend to got a second yellow for dissent for that? Was it in the Premier League?
I know they did it in Turkey. I didn't know they did it in Premier League as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah, somebody, I don't know if it might have been, I don't think it was MLS. I think it was Premier League. Someone got sent off. I guess we can Google it, but for getting a second yellow for dissent like that. He got tackled from behind and came up, went like this once, and then boom, second yellow. I think it's only going to take a matter of time before Harry Kane is gone, so he can't complain. But for somebody to complain immediately, Mitro is, if he stays at Fulham, Mitro is a 1 to 400 odds to immediately be sent off for something like that. But no, I don't. I think at some point it might get out of hand, like you said, the first couple of weeks, and then enough managers talk to whoever the PG Mall guy is and say we got to cut this out. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with you, Brian. I agree with you there.
It will stop, and I think it. I just want to make sure they keep going, though. Like, I feel like you give out yellows, it will stop. It's like disciplining kids, right? Like, if you set the tone right, it won't happen again. But if you start letting it go again, then they're not going to bed at when they're supposed to. You know, they're just coming up with different excuses. So I think if you let it go and you don't show the yellow for a couple of weeks and say, I think we solved that problem and walk away from it, it's just going to pop right back up. And people are going to do it because it is a habit. And I thought initially when they started enforcing it, we kind of worked that habit out of people asking for it. They weren't motioning it. It was hands behind the back, bitching mode. But now that it wasn't enforced, people are like just waving their hands and arms all over the place. And then the yellows come. Another thing the yellows come out for now is being active, saying stuff as a manager. Arteta, who's the king of bitching, how many reds is he going to get?
That's rich coming from a Liverpool fan, by the way. I just need to jump in there.
I'm a rich guy. I'm a rich guy.
Yeah.
Hey, at least club doesn't have a Lego head, so that's what I'm going with.
Hey, that hair is beautiful. I will defend Arteta.
That is not a hair. That's a helmet, bro. That thing comes out like a Lego. Like you can just.
Hey, what a chompers on Klopp though, man.
So do you like? I mean, I don't mind it at all. I do like my manager to be animated. Marco Silva, I mean, is the complete opposite for him, isn't it? He's like a very quiet guy from what I know.
But when he goes off, he goes off. So like last year,
I can live with that. I mean, I think you know that's my demeanor. Normally, I'm easygoing. But when the flip switches, it's just too late. It's never switching back off again. But I like if I think of managers who are going to get in trouble for it. Admittedly, Klopp would, Arteta would. But I just can't see like Marcos. Well, like he's definitely one of the bottom of the list for me of names that will get in trouble for it.
You'd be shocked.
Really? We should have a wager of who's the manager is going to get, but you guys won't. Alex will not even be close.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm willing to say that Klopp will get a red card before Arteta.
The wager is on.
If
you don't sign a defensive midfielder, I might get a red before.
Right.
But
I think both will get red carded eventually. But
I think so. I mean, I think there will be, and honestly, like I say, I do like the manager to be animated on the sideline as a statue. I mean, I do. I think it's like different styles, right? Like some managers are like very active and like waving arms and shouting instructions, and you have a guy like Ancelotti, he looks like he's just watching a boring movie when he's on the sideline. But, you know, he's the kind of manager that kind of exudes confidence and says, I'm under control. You guys should be under control, too. It's just like different styles, so I can live with that. So if somebody explained to me, meanwhile, because I think I talked about this on one of the morning shows, too. Do we know why we can have more than one guy in the box and we treat it like the 3-second lane in basketball? I mean, is there a reason that I am not following, Alan?
You know, yeah, it's only the manager that's allowed to be in that box, right? So
It's only one manager, because
One,
I was
okay.
listening to one of the club's post-match press conference for the Chelsea game. I guess at one set piece, Pep gets up and like screaming stuff. The fourth referee comes and says, I don't know, like turnover, like there's two guys in the thing, you know, like he throws the flag for a penalty in there and says, hey, you guys can have two. And Klopp says, so if I sit, he can get up and give instructions. The answer is yes. Only one guy of authority in the rectangle at a time.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Arteta is going to get yelled for that, just for trying.
I think it's the new. I mean,
Yeah.
even Klopp said in his press conference jokingly, and everybody knew Newcastle is the only team that's going to get in trouble all the time because for some reason I don't even know if Eddie Howe does anything or he's just listening to the guy all the time. But is there a reason, Alex, that you can think of why they would like really make this a focus of a rule of all things in soccer? This is what we're concerned about.
It is a weird thing to focus on. I think a lot of these stem obviously from like abuse of officials, and that's an issue we can absolutely need to like address.
Yeah.
I'm not a rugby fan, but I know about rugby culture a little bit, and the culture there is totally different. Where it is the captain is the only one allowed to speak. It's respectful, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and it is no dissent is allowed. And there's no reason why that wouldn't be the case in football, other than it's just not. And I think that does go to the managers. The only thing I can think of is that it does limit if there's a penalty shout, if there's an offside, if there's something like that, and every manager jumps up to go argue, and the fourth official there is just surrounded by the coaching staff, it does make it easier to, instead of saying, it looks like you had too many coaches, it's just a blanket. More than one coach got up. I don't have to make a decision. But it seems like a weird solution to that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, as like a point of emphasis, as I look at that, I was like, what the hell are we worrying about when people are literally punching other people on the field and getting away with it? Why are we watching how many people are in the box complaining about it? Not to mention the dude got a yellow card for complaining about this.
Gary.
So we do not have a United fan over here. But even my brother, who's a United fan, initially said, "Man, you guys bitch about decisions all the time," but he hadn't seen it. Then he's like, "I'm on my way home. I'll take a look." And then he was like, "Holy shit, that should be a penalty." I mean, how does something like this happen, Alan? It's not even Arsenal. So like, how do they get away with non-call like this?
They get away with it because most of the referees in the PGMLL are all from Manchester or the greater Manchester area.
Man,
I mean, it's a conspiracy, but it's.
I can see that tinfoil hat from here.
I'm willing to push it. Because, I mean, come on, like it's clear and obvious, and you know, all the referees that all of them are now not going to be at any games next weekend. So. There it is. The Premier League has apologized, but the Premier League can't give Wolves that point back if they scored that penalty. You know, it's
with the conspiracy. But I mean, it's and Howard Webb is in charge. I mean, I can just only like add foil to that hat because there is like so many layers to that freaking hat every time you look at it, and it is a lot of United, I have to say. But Alex, I mean, I thought about I figured like this would more come to you. We all look at it and say, United got an easy 3 points and stuff like that. But the flip side of this is a team like Wolves, like we were talking about earlier, who could be in a relegation battle. And from a team that might, you're not anticipating, but afraid of, let's say, worried about a relegation battle. I mean, that's almost doesn't matter how many apologies or Moss kisses your hand or the ring or whatever after the game. That point can cost you your Premier League at the end of the year. Is it even more infuriating as somebody on that end of the things, like if you're a Wolves fan?
Oh, for sure. And I think, one, you can see every rung in the Premier League ladder. So let's say they finish 17th, right? Every rung up the ladder is a couple $1 million more in prize money. So every point does matter at the end of the day. And I think that was another frustrating thing for Fulham fans. We can say, okay, at the end of the day, Wolves didn't get a point, and it's better for Fulham because the league right now is so stratified. There's like a top 8 or 9 teams that are going to battle, and then everybody else, it's a dogfight. And so for Wolves to drop a point, I mean, it is good for Fulham at the end of the day. But as a Fulham fan,
okay. I didn't think about it that way. I didn't think you'd be happy about it.
I mean, it sucks. I think it's two sides of your brain where you say, okay, at the end of the day, it's good that Wolves dropped a point, but you can just as easy see Fulham in that position. And I tweeted from the Chicago Cottage account right after I saw it, we're all laughing because literally the same thing is going to happen this weekend, except it's going to be even Brighton, Fulham, Palace, Wolves again, Bournemouth, who this exact same thing happens to.
Oh, it won't happen to Palace. Arsenal playing them.
But that's the thing.
That's the exact reason why it will happen, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what is going to happen. And there's going to be almost the same play, and it's going to be whistled down. And VAR is going to take a look, and it's going to be a penalty. And we're going to hear from all the fans and all the PG Mall, whoever, about why it's a pen. And we're all going to be going, but you have memory hold what happened literally last week? How? And they're going to say, well, that's football, huh? And it is going to happen over and over again. It already does. But
so as that seems, that's interesting, and this is why I'm going to love this show. I think because we're going to have like different perspectives, and that's what I kind of like all about this thing. As Liverpool fans, we feel like we get screwed over a lot, and there's countless examples, and we do. Arsenal, I don't know where you guys stand with that. I think Arsenal fans have been more on the team than the refereeing, from what I see overall, to be the point where, let's get our shit straight down. We'll bitch out the referees kind of thing is what I've observed from Gooders. But I mean, for like a team like Fulham, do you guys always feel like, that decision's not going to go our way because we're playing United or Liverpool and Arsenal? Is that like a built-in feeling or not really as much?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a built-in, people talk about big club bias, right? And we talk about that all the time. And I think there's definitely a sense of if you're at Old Trafford, you're just not going to get the call. It is what it is. You're not going to get the call. And whether that's true or not,
helped that for you guys? You feel like has VAR helped that though? Like eliminate?
It didn't help Wolves. I mean, I don't know. I guess. And that's the key. That's the thing. VAR is only as good as the officials that are running it. So there's a human being looking at that play, and somehow a human being watched that and said, "Carry on." And that's the frustrating thing is if you're a Wolves fan is that it wasn't a computer, it's not AI. Another person looked at that and said, "Yeah, you're good. Keep going." And that's the frustrating thing.
Punch.
And they had Bruno Fernandes out after the match to talk about it, and they asked him point blank, "You think it was a pen?" What do you think he's going to say? Is he going to say, "Oh, they got that one wrong. Yeah, we probably should have walked out of here with a point"? Of course, he's going to say the referee made the decision. I mean, but.
I wasn't close to it. I didn't see. That's
which is what he should say.
Yeah, that's what he should.
That's what he should say. But what are you going to ask him? But yeah.
Wataru Endo, baby. We finally have a midfielder, by the way. See, most Liverpool fans are like, who? But obviously he's big in Japan. So that should be interesting in the next couple of weeks over here. But yeah, I mean, going back to that thing, the fact that VAR is not called, I don't know about a human watching it. It was probably a United fan watching it that they didn't call and say, hey, come and take a look at this.
Yeah.
But I think it has come to the point, and I think that's a bigger problem over here with VAR too. The lack of transparency for one. I mean, Brian was saying it's like the best league with the worst officiating somehow. So the lack of transparency, you mentioned like rugby earlier, that's, where we can hear what the hell is going on. I think we're not seeing that. Another thing, Alan, is I think we are seeing that if the ref is called over there by VAR, the decision is changing. I think it's like 95. Yeah. I don't know what the percentage is. Probably should have looked this up before I made the statement, but that'd be too bad.
It's high.
But the percentage is really, really high, let's say. In the 90s, I'll go general. Is that why they're almost afraid to call now? Because the ref is not going to go there and say, I don't care. It's my decision.
Right.
I saw what I saw.
Yeah, I think the refs are too stubborn still about trying to be corrected with VAR. That's why they don't bother going over there most times. I would like to see something like in the NFL where the referee explains the reasoning behind why they called something, the way they did, especially after a review. So, and I think they should be able, I think the English media should do a better job of like getting these referees in front of a camera and they have to explain what calls they're making and not making. Like they get to go on, skate by, and go on to the next game. But they're asking the managers and the players, oh, do you think that was a penalty, Bruno Guimaraes? No, not at all. Not Guimaraes, but yeah.
Brian says Webb is going to cover his people. I know there's a pun in there, intentional or unintentional. I don't know, but
it's the truth, though. It's the truth, and and I understand it's a tight. It has to be refereeing. It's umpires in baseball, referees in the NFL. It has to be a tight circle. There are not many people in the world that have reffed a Premier League match, and that's a hard job. I'm not here to say. None of us are here to say this is easy and the refs have it easy. Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, they have a job to do, and when it's done so poorly in such a big moment of the match, I mean, it kind of a phone call to Gary O'Neill, excellent. He's still going to carry that yellow card. He got booked for that, right? And come on.
And I think not only, I mean, yes, it is a tough job, but that's, like they say, that's why they get paid the big bucks. It is a tough job. I understand that, but at the same time, a lot of people have tough jobs, and there's some accountability. The tougher job, usually the more accountability. Like if you're management, the higher you go, maybe you work less, but the accountability gets more and more and more. Sure. You're responsible for more things and you pay for mistakes. I think when it almost feels like the lack of transparency, and coming back out and saying oh yeah, that was the wrong call. Damn it, sorry about that.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't help anybody at that point. And I don't even know suspending the guys. Oh, they're not gonna ref any games this week. Okay, so basically you're waiting till we forget. And then 2 weeks from now, they're going to be reffing Arsenal, Brentford, or something like that. Yeah. And then what? Is it lack of people to go to? If we get rid of this guy, well, who's going to do it? There's no succession plan in terms of replacing, because we've had the same dudes over and over again making the same mistakes over and over again.
Right.
I mean, what is the ultimate solution aside from transparency, Alex? If they maybe came out, you mentioned NFL, Alan. NBA does the same thing. When they watch it, they come back and say, he punched him, so he slapped that, and this is a foul, and I'm giving this. This is it. I made the call. Let it be said. Let it be done. I mean, I think I would much rather have that, so that even if I don't agree with what you're doing, at least I know why you're doing it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it does involve a little bit of a culture shift, maybe too, in terms of football culture in general, but then the referee culture of kind of circle the wagons, and it is us against everybody, and we don't have to explain ourselves because we are strong lines. Yeah, fair enough.
He's right.
He's not wrong. This us against the world kind of mentality, which I understand how that develops. Everyone is screaming at you all the time. I get how that develops, but it's not helpful. It's not helpful when you have a referee refusing to talk to a player and explain, okay, here's kind of what happened here. And there's probably a lot of communication that goes on the field between a referee and players and during the match. As they're running around, there is communication. I think the more of that, the better. That's my ideas. It really needs a culture shift because a VAR is clearly not fixing it super great. Because at the end of the day, you still have the guy with the chip on his shoulder going, I don't want to show up the on-field referee by calling him over to the monitor. Let's just stick with the call on the field, which is the whole point of VAR.
Yeah, it's just that was the sad part. You see the VAR on that. You see it over and over and over again. And there's consensus on everybody who's watching it. Pundits, commentator, people on TV, people in chat forums and stuff, people tweeting, everybody's in agreement except the dude watching it who's in charge of it and the guy who missed it in the first place. That's when you go to Alan and ask for his hats and say, yep, there is a conspiracy. I mean, that's what makes it, I think, kind of shady.
And if you're the guy on the field, Simon Hooper, I think, you want him to call down. You only got a chance to see it once live from a weird angle, maybe. You want the guy on the camera to call down and say, hey, you should take a look at this. So you can go back and look at it again. If you missed it, it is what it is. It happens. That's why the camera's there.
Yeah.
Sadly, I'm afraid the Premier League show will be talking about this, a lot of different incidents over here. We should make a segment of Shady Call of the Week. Alan, I'm in charge of this. The tinfoil guy. The tinfoil moment of the week in a Manchester game.
I mean, there was 2 calls this week that I thought were bad. Is that one, the Manchester one? And I thought Chelsea versus Liverpool, that was a handball. He clearly had his hands.
Yeah, I am torn
Fulham
on
got
that
screwed
personally.
too.
Yeah.
I am torn on
Oh.
that because it was his body, but it goes to this, right?
Yeah.
Whenever we talk decisions, more than rules, we talk about other bad calls that have happened
Mhm.
or other ones. We say like we've seen it given before, or we
Yeah.
say we've seen it not given before.
Right.
That just shows the rules are not being followed. There should not
There's
be
no-
that much gray area, especially when there is VAR. I can understand before VAR, but the VAR should have really narrowed that down. I don't think so. I think it's just the same. I mean, because obviously, if the entire world looks at a guy punching two guys at the same time after the ball is gone, and one dude is saying like, "That looks good to me. I don't know what the problem is here," and then we keep going. You say,
And then-
"What are we doing here?" Somebody has to explain. That's what I would want the explanation, because I don't even know how you would explain that.
Right.
Tim Howard, with his all his might and glory, said those are never given. When a goalie comes out and misses the ball,
Completely.
yes, those are usually not given, right?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
when the ball is right there, the dude hits the ball and then gets punched in the face, pretty much, both of them. I mean, when are those not given? Against United is probably. But before we go, let's talk about this a little bit. Speaking of United, I kind of like got involved, like not involved, I should say, but kind of like followed the story a lot today. Mason Greenwood. So Manchester put out the statement today that pretty much says, I mean, you can read the whole thing on the Manchester United website that I just shared there. But for the most part, it says, we're not saying it will happen, but what would happen if we just let him come back? Like, what would it be? Like, it's almost like putting a feeler out there. We're not saying it will happen, but it could very well happen just to see what the reaction would be. I know it's a sensitive topic and there's a lot of different opinions for it. Alan, let's start with you on this one. Where do you stand on a guy like Mason Greenwood? And I guess the best way to do this is if he was, I think you guys said a similar thing with Partey. I mean, not similar. You don't want to put these things. Let's delete that. Let's not put things similar because there's a lot of variables here. But if he was an Arsenal player, would you want him to come back and wear the jersey?
No. And honestly, even with Partey, I would not. I was hoping that we were selling Partey this summer. I think Mason Greenwood's got to go. I think he shouldn't be wearing a United kit. I don't think he should be playing soccer, football. I think, and I'm very, the Chicago Gooners last year posted a very strong statement on the Thomas Partey situation, and I stand by that. And I stand by it to this day. And we've had, it's almost similar. It's a sexual assault case and accusations that are going on.
What was the Partey thing? I didn't, to be honest, I didn't
It
know
was-
that at all. Was he found guilty, not guilty?
No, it's the same thing. He wasn't found guilty. I don't even think he even went to court, really. So
So was it dropped again, similar to Greenwood?
there was multiple text messages and screenshots of Snapchat conversations between the survivor of his abuses and him, describing what had happened, and it was pretty bad. It was really bad stuff.
So, like, when you watch a game, Partey is playing and he does something, does that affect?
Honestly, I can't cheer for the guy.
Okay, that's fair. That's what I was wondering. That's fair. I mean, Brian says I would never want him on the pitch representing Liverpool. I'm on the same boat. I would just find it hard and very uncomfortable rooting for a guy like that. I know there are times where you have players on the field. Maybe there are guys that you like to have on your team, but everybody else hates him, kind of thing. And then sometimes your team ends up signing that guy that you like despise for a while. So you might not feel very strong for him, but this is like totally different where I don't think I could get myself to root for a player like that. How about you, Alex? Like, what's your take on the whole ordeal? And the fact that first they tried to put it on the women's team, which was even more disgusting, I thought. They were like, we're cool. Are you guys cool? So that, they're making the decision. And then to come out with this statement just to gauge what the reaction is going to be is just disgusting. But where are you at with it?
Yeah, 100% agreement with that. I think if as a Fulham fan, if it were announced like, man, we got a really good deal on a young player coming in, by the way, it's Mason Greenwood, I'd that'd be pretty upsetting is a pretty light way to put that. It isn't like, I think a lot of people who are trying to minimize it right now are saying, oh, it's one of those he said, she said, you weren't in the room, you can never really know. But there's a transcript of what happened. Like, this is not a
just sound video. Yeah,
there's video sound. Just because this isn't prosecuted does not mean he's innocent.
Right.
It means the Crown decided not to pursue charges, which is a very different thing. This is not like someone saying, oh, something happened, which even again, you believe women. So at the end of the day, yeah, I would be pretty upset. Again, is a very light way to put this as a United fan, and would be disgusted if Fulham had anything, not that they would or do, had anything to do with bringing someone like this in. There are some clubs somewhere who will sign him, and he will find a home somewhere else because somebody will sign him. But I'd be really disappointed if I were a United fan and saw this, because this right, this is paving the way for him to come back.
Yeah,
this pretty much is like
slow rolling. It's getting the bad emotions out slowly, rather than one fell swoop. As people are complaining about it now, and then when it actually happens, people have already got it out of their system a little bit, they think. And I hope United fans kind of show up and don't accept this.
I saw that they are going to be doing an announcement type video, like with one of the head guys at United discussing why they're bringing him back. That's what I saw. I think I saw it from The Athletic, but I'm not sure. Yeah,
and it says if the players in the league are going to still stand with racism, as they should, then they need to stand with this punishment and not let anyone who does the same thing to let him play. And I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I've seen people. I was watching a couple of like different stuff on YouTube today, and I've seen people comment saying like everybody deserves a second chance, blah blah blah, but not in a United uniform, not in my team's uniform, not in a Liverpool uniform. I'm not saying go hang the dude. If he feels like, he's rehabilitated, blah, blah, blah. But that does not guarantee you your second opportunity to be the same opportunity you already had. If one of us does something, brutal and unethical and all that kind of stuff at work, we don't come back and say like, you might get demoted and stuff like that. You don't come back and get the same exact chance that you had before, and you should not expect to. And what he did is not just a mistake or anything like that. And here's the thing, the complaint was dropped. So like, if you read the statement, they're like, we worked really closely with the victim. First of all, if you don't know anything about domestic violence, I mean, the United Club have never heard of this syndrome. They're like, what? So they're asking the victim, who's going to be impacted by the decision at this stage anyway, even if they were not, you don't go ask the victim. There's a reason. I think Melissa Reddy was tweeting out something like, how many incidents it takes before even a victim complains about being the victim. So going to the victim and saying like, you cool with this though overall, is just like you trying to make an excuse. And I guess, Alex, if Mason Greenwood was Scott McTominay, let's say, I was trying to find somebody even lamer, but would we get the same chance?
I mean, I think unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be, we haven't reached the bottom yet of what football, culture, whatever, is willing to accept. And unfortunately, it seems like hopefully we reach that bottom pretty quickly and we can boot some of these guys out of here. But you saw the reaction when, who was it? Mendy. Was it when Mendy was he quitted or whatever happened with him? And all the football players came out of the woodwork to celebrate this decision.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think I saw that too. I saw all these players coming out, and it's just like, come on, guys, read the room. Like, this isn't something to be, isn't something to be like celebrating.
And I think the problem is it stems, I think, from that culture of these young kind of party boys, and in their head, some of these guys are thinking, man, that could be me. I could have misread a situation, and then I'm on trial. Well, how about you don't put yourself in situations like this?
Right.
How about you shift your own mindset and don't put yourself in positions that you think, oh, no. Thank you, Kelly. He did have a great first game. Put yourself in this position that you think, oh, no, maybe someone will misconstrue my actions. Absolutely not. But I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. I understand, pro players or famous people, whatever. Trust me, I get it all the time. Being a target of like these attacks, and people sometimes making up stuff and all. I get that, right? So allegations and stuff like that. Yes, we should wait till it's been proven and stuff like that. This is not that. I mean, it's not like there's like a hearsay and nothing comes out of it. We have video, we have sound, like we know it's happened. I think that's what sets it aside from other things. I can understand when players are like saying, oh yeah, like people try to get lawsuits out of stuff and, like make up stuff and they feel like targets of that stuff. And, as much as I sympathize, I agree with you, Alex. Don't put yourself in those situations when possible. And sometimes it might not be possible, but this is not that. This is kind of like a totally different thing. There is evidence of you being a scumbag, and you should be treated as such. And honestly, any other player that's average, below average, this has not even been a conversation. It didn't even be debated. It'd be gone. And I feel like it's so poorly handled. And I'm not saying it's because United, which, you expected from United, I guess. No, I'm just saying, I'm not saying because it's United, but I would feel the same way if it was Liverpool. And I know like we have a lot of Liverpool followers watching us right now. I would assume most feel the same way. And I saw comments on some of these like videos for like United about Greenwood, when have we become as a society where we can't even freaking differentiate like soccer and winning and like what's right and stuff like that? It's just sad. You read that and it's just like, holy shit, this is sad. It was like really bummed me out as I was reading that. So let's talk about the weekend and predict if I'm going to be bummed out on the weekend scores as well. So let's go game by game over here. Liverpool, Bournemouth. I am predicting a win on this one, and I was actually saying if we didn't sign anybody, even I can see like a good performance that's makes the club say we don't even need anybody. But we did sign somebody, and I think there's one more on the way. But I do predict them Fulham, Brentford.
Whew. Another West London derby coming up. It sucks to play him at home so early. I wish we could have played him a little bit later. We just had the same thing happen last year. This is a hard one. We haven't really strengthened the squad too much, so it's tough to come out and say automatic 3 points. I think with a rivalry like this, a derby like this, the past few years, you throw records out, and it's just a dogfight. I think being at the Cottage helps, and hopefully, if Mitro is going to go to Al Hilal, hopefully he sends us off with a hat trick against Bournemouth or against Brentford.
Would he play if he was going though? I mean, if he's going, obviously he's not going to be anywhere near.
For the past month, they've said he's close to agreeing a deal. He came on in the second half last week. So I thought
was a risky move. Like if he gets hurt, like all
and
that.
that's what leads everyone to believe that like these rumors are fully funded by the Saudi government. Like it's a very weird situation. But no, I think at home Fulham are going to get it done. I think they know the importance of this match, especially with City and Arsenal coming up next. Getting 3 points this past weekend was unbelievably important to get those 3 points in the bank. And then I think if they can get a point minimum and get 3, then they'll be heading into those 2 tough fixtures. Again, money in the bank.
Yeah, actually, I want to kind of get to the Saudi League spending and the Chelsea spending. We were talking about it before we went on air with like Alan, but like other conversations took over and kind of like go with the flow. Kelly says, so let's answer this. Do you guys respect United more for putting out a feeler first instead of just bringing him back? I actually respect it less.
Yeah.
That tells me they know it's wrong. And they're just saying like, can we do it? No? Oh, okay. Damn. Okay. Yeah.
In the statement, it says, this young man who, what is it? We have a responsibility for blah, blah, blah. Something about that. It was something about like.
He says something like,
he's been with us since he was 7.
Responsibilities to Mason as an employee, as a young person who has been with the club since the age of 7, and as a new father with a partner, which is like, that's why they're putting the plate, the forks, just setting up the table for him to come back.
But that's the key phrase, Mason as an employee. Why is he still an employee? I understand he's a contract. I get it. But is there no clause in the contract that says if you do something horrific, then yes, thank you, Brian. If you do something horrific, your contract can't be terminated. I don't understand. Responsibility to him as an employee. He shouldn't be an employee. But
yeah,
not my club.
I've seen players get termed like quickly for other things. We've seen Aubameyang get termed for missing practice. Like,
practice,
right?
Practice, Alan.
Yeah. But I mean, like there are these. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
There's clearly clauses in these contracts. We see it in multiple sports leagues that there are clauses that immediately term you for actions like these. games. Like it's
Yeah.
mind-boggling.
Where there's a will, there's a way, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you are representing the club and you're misrepresenting the club if they really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, to answer Kelly's question, I actually respected it less because I feel like
Yeah,
that's a statement saying we kind of know it's wrong, but if you guys are cool with it, we can be cool with it too. To just put the feeler out there to see what the fans are going to say.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, a lot of the fans I heard, it's really split from what I saw. And I hate to say this, probably the younger crowd. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell on like YouTube comments and stuff like that. Well, maybe it's not as hard based on the language and stuff, um, but a lot of people obviously were more on like it shouldn't even be an issue. But then there were people saying, and this is what really annoys me, and this is what really bums me out. You guys bum me out again. Is the fact that people are saying like, yeah, we need a striker. So like, if it was a goalie, I mean, we're good. We have Onana. But since he's a striker and we need a striker, let's bring him back. And that makes it. That's what I mean. Like, where have we become? Where we pick this over this is just mind-boggling. Maybe I'm just too goddamn old. But let's go back.
It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting. Yeah.
So you were hoping for the. I actually think because Fulham is at home, I was gonna go with Fulham too. Even though they did look actually pretty good against Tottenham. But I just could not tell because that's how Tottenham, everybody who counters is going to look good against Tottenham, it looked like. So let's address that because I feel like there's two huge games. So let's address those as well. Tottenham, United. I know, Alan, you're probably leaning towards United because it's Tottenham involved, but where are you at with that? Who goes away with that?
I would take a giant train hitting stadium and causing the game not to be played.
Just cover the ethics, Alan.
I think. Sorry. No. Realistically, I think United's the better team. United's going to win. Tottenham did not. Without Harry Kane, they are toothless. I think. Like, I think Brentford unfortunately escaped without unfortunately couldn't get the 3 points. I think they were up 2-1, and then Tottenham got the draw in the 47th minute of the first half. So let's see.
To be fair, I mean, I think if I was asked this 2 weeks ago, I would have probably picked United. But having seen United and how they defend counters, and I mean, Wolves should have scored at least 2-3 if they had somebody decent up top. I feel like if Jimenez was playing up top, for example, still, he would have scored 2-3 goals, and they did not have that person. So I'm kind of torn. I'm going with the draw on this one, like a high scoring, like a 2-2. I think there's going to be a lot of high scoring Tottenham games. What's your prediction, Alex?
Yeah, I would not bet against that. Typically, like the high scoring draw. Tottenham are going to score a lot, and they're going to give up. They're going to ship a lot of goals. So it'll be an interesting season at whatever they call their new stadium, the Toilet Bowl. White Hart is it New White Hart Lane? What's it called now?
It's the White Hart Toilet Bowl. Yep.
Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, I'll take your word for it,
Alan. We're gonna.
I agree with that.
You have to bring Jake next week to.
So you can take Harry Kane. You can take the boy out of the Spurs. You cannot take the Spurs out of the boy if you watch the Super Cup.
Yeah, right. I mean. I blame. Was that you, Alan, on Discord? I kind of blame you for that. We were saying like Kane is.
That was me.
That was you. Like spent 2 days there and win more trophies than he did in like 10 years. And he brings Spurs with them over there, and they lose.
Oh boy.
Another tough battle this week. This should be like a really good game to watch. City, Newcastle. Hopefully by then I will have done the post match. Haven't enjoyed the Liverpool win. Kind of like kick back and watch this. Is City gonna keep rolling, or is this, especially since they just played another like a Super Cup game against a team like Sevilla? That's a lot of effort being used as deep as they are, and you can kind of tell with Kevin De Bruyne not out there until they spend another like 200 million this week to fill that slot. It looks like those critical balls are not gonna come into Holland as much as they used to. So, is this a chance for Newcastle to steal a point?
I think it's a chance for Newcastle to win.
Really?
Yeah, I think Kevin De Bruyne is very vital to how City play, especially with how Holland scores his goals. Like, he needs De Bruyne to keep on feeding him that rock to score. And I think Newcastle looked good against a decent Villa side. I don't think Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Villa looked like a 5-1 team. Or was it 4-1? Either way, like
5-1, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's
they just kept coming at the end. It
just kept coming and coming at the end. Newcastle has a chance to show what kind of how much of the gap has been closed between reaching top 4 to that title opportunity. Because honestly, Newcastle is a good team. I said that they would finish top 4 or they would finish 4th, but if they show me otherwise by beating City or even getting a draw against City, that'd be impressive.
You on board with this, Alex? We were talking about City earlier, and who's going to stop them?
I'm curious. This is St. James Park, right? This match is up in Newcastle.
It's at City. By the way, speaking of, my brother, who's a lucky ass, got a free ticket to go to the game today because his buddy couldn't get a visa for Greece, and my brother happened to have one, so it was just at the game, and he was saying how pathetic City fans are. I mean, it could be because he's a United fan, but he said, like, man, they are really pathetic. Because I was like, because he sent me a picture of like City fans getting pictures, like a huge line for City fans getting a picture with the trophies and stuff, and I was like, holy shit, they got all 130 of them over there, is what I said. And when he went in the stadium, he said, like, yeah, it feels like there's 130 of them over here. They couldn't even get him to sing the songs and stuff like that. So it was pretty pathetic.
I mean, that was the when you watch Ted Lasso as an actual football fan, the most unrealistic part of the entire series was when they went up to City and there was an atmosphere at the Etihad. That was the most. You can watch all those guys play, and that was the moment. I think every football fan looked and was like, "Wait, hold on." And this is Rich coming from
this is a major plot hole. Yeah.
This is Rich from a Fulham fan, but I still stand by that. No, I don't disagree. I think Newcastle will have something to prove, and KDB missing will definitely hurt City. I don't know. I wouldn't. It's hard for me to pick against City still. I think until someone really actually knocks them off the throne and drags them back down, especially with that enormous giant up top. It's hard to pick against him. But if someone's going to do it, it's going to be a team like Newcastle, who did look very good against Villa, and I don't think Villa. I agree with you, Alan.
Yeah,
I think Villa that bad. Yeah, I think they're a good team.
We could have asked Shea, but he said no. He didn't want to talk about the 5-1. Yeah, so he'll show up next week. Palace. Oh, you guys never gave the prediction on the Liverpool game, by the way. I kind of gave it and ran with it. I expect everybody to agree with the win, right? We're winning this one.
Yeah, I think Liverpool can win that.
Yeah. You guys are this confidence kind of scares me now. I'm always like, the way it is. It's got me even more worried. Palace, Arsenal.
3-1.
I mean, that's someone objective. Alex.
I mean, you could say 2-1. You could have said 3-4-8.
Really?
No, but I think Arsenal will win this one.
Yeah,
not going away, but fairly easily. I'm not super high on Palace. I don't think they were very good last year. Obviously, when Hodgson came in, they started playing a lot better, and he stuck around. So he'll turn them into a respectable side. But I don't think they'll be bottom half pretty comfortably, I think. But,
I'm saying this is the first point loss for Arsenal over here in this game against Palace. Because Palace, it's a tough place to play. I know I hate it when like Liverpool goes there. It's a tough place to play and get that goal. Unless Arsenal scores early, I just feel like Palace does take something away from them. But it should be like there's a lot of good games this week. Like first week is always odd, and obviously there was like the Liverpool Chelsea as the big game, but a lot of good games. And I think, like I say, as we kind of go into these shows more and more every week, I think we'll find out about these teams. Like, Villa plays Everton. I think it's a good chance to find out about, what we're saying about Villa, because I do agree with both you guys. And then we find out a little bit more about Everton too. Are they really going to be just as bad as they were and stuff like that? So I think by the time we come around to week 3, week 4 over here, we'll have a better idea. Well, gentlemen, thanks a lot. We'll be here every week at the same time live. Join us here as we talk the Premier League, and we get to find out what these other guys are thinking too, and not only us Liverpool guys. But great chat. Really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks to all those listening. Give us a like, a follow. subscription, all those little things that you can press on the bottom there. Just do all those things so you don't miss us next week when we go live. Same time, 8 o'clock Central, and hopefully with a foursome next week as well. Have a great week, everybody. Take care.